welcome to another episode of Woman Witness Podcast of Stories at the Well. I'm your host, Leah Fortier. Here on this platform, we bring to you voices of women that are out there making a positive impact in their lives, in their community, in the world around them. I'm so excited to introduce to you my guest today, Miss Rose Grosser. But before I bring her in, I am going to read a little bit about her just to kind of get you guys familiar with who she is. Today, we have the privilege of interviewing Rose Grosser, a mother, an artist, and educator for individuals of all ages living with disabilities. Rose's journey is one of resilience, from being a young single mother at 19, facing homelessness, to now providing a strong parental figure for her son. Despite challenges that could have shattered her, Rose has dedicated her life and work to supporting young women and recognizing their value and resilience. Through her expressive comic art, Rose addresses emotions, challenges, and trauma, aiming to reassure mothers that they are not alone. Her creations inspire hope and encourage them to pursue their own aspirations. Without further ado, I'm excited to introduce to you my guest today, Rose Grosser. Hey, Rose, welcome to the Well.
Hi, thank you for having me, Leah.
Thanks for being here. I'm excited about your journey. And I'm more excited that you are willing to go out there and be a witness and share it with other mothers and other women who may have faced challenges of their own. Let me start off by just giving you the floor and tell us a little bit about your journey and how you went from being a young single mother to where you are today.
I started off being a single mom because, well, I had an unplanned pregnancy with my son, and it was really hard, and there were a lot of changes in my life that happened because of it, and there was a lot of people that weren't able to support me, including my son's father at the time. So, like my son's father, he wanted to have his own career and move to Florida. And in that journey of his, we were trying to support him. And we didn't really have a place to go once I had my son. I only had my grandparents at the time, but when they passed away, it became a little bit more challenging. I had to kind of couch hop from my family members, but a lot of people couldn't really take us in because everyone had their own struggle going on. So I found a few shelters. Some were nice to be at, some weren't so pleasant. But overall, like, I kind of had to, a little grow up on my own because I didn't know how to raise my son. I was like a kid myself.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot. And I feel like the thing is that I want to share about my experience is the resilience of my experience and where I am today. So
Yeah.
through my art, I really want to express that, and I want to show other single moms that there is hope and it doesn't end there, that there is a future. And I just want to be able to provide that with my art and also to kids, because it's not
Yeah.
easy on the kids at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think you are so strong for going out and sharing that, because there are a lot of people who were or may be in your situation and they just feel that they can't go on. But the fact that you were able to make it through, you give them hope. How did your experiences with like couch hopping and from having to actually be vulnerable and ask for help, how did that shape your perspective on life? Was it used with your approach of following your dreams?
There were some times where I had to like pretty much fight for my home.
Mm.
Like I was in a women's shelter when I first had my son, and the people there weren't pleasant or welcoming, so it was really hard living under the house with other women. And this place was a very religious place. They had given me rules whether I could see my family on certain days. I kind of had to ask permission. So it was really hard to live there because of those circumstances, but it was somewhat understandable. It just didn't end up being the right fit for me. And like I did learn a lot from them. They did teach me how to do something as simple as laundry, cook,
Yeah.
and then I found a different shelter, which is in Clifton, St. Peter's. they were the best people there. Like they had a social worker there to help me. Just like I had a lot more independence. They gave me like a house to myself. And just kind of being in throughout all those experiences, like I had to kind of, a lot of it honestly was more of the emotional aspect of it, like just trying to push through my emotions and then just continue to do what I needed to do for the better of my son. And I always communicated that to him. Like I always communicated exactly what I was feeling. I told him, listen, I'm not feeling okay right now. I need a little space. Like, and my son, he's so emotional intelligent to this day. Like he's amazing. And I feel like that's like the biggest thing when it comes to being a single parent or just going through anything like that, because a lot of kids need that emotional intelligence to understand the situation. And then when they grow up, they become emotionally strong.
Yeah.
So, mhm.
Yeah, I like that. I agree. I mean, it is important to let our children see how we are feeling. I believe, I mean, like, think about it. Like, if they see that we are hurting, or they see that even if they pinch us and it really doesn't hurt, we can say, ow, so they know not to do it to other people. That hurt. I need that, I need my space, or, what you're doing right now, you're invading my space. I love that so much, Rose. I started doing that with my own children, breaking it down to them, and when they are invading my privacy or invading my space, so they understand, you know, what it's like to have ownership of something. So I like that, Rose. That's really good. I think we all take a lesson in that. Tell us about your professional. How did you begin, and what inspired you to begin working with individuals, or adults, or children with disabilities?
So I started working with adults with disabilities at first, and it wasn't something honestly I had planned at all. It was just something. It was just started out as just a job opportunity.
Hmm.
And when I worked at the program, like it was something very new and scary to me, but eventually I really loved working in that field, and I felt like just me growing up in a home where I didn't really always have that emotional support, I felt like I was able to get that opportunity to give someone else that emotional support. And a lot of adults with disabilities, or anybody with disabilities, they kind of have that struggle where they don't receive that at home, and they go to programs like this to get that from their you know the people that they work with. And I did a lot of arts and crafts with them, and that's kind of where it started. I just kind of did like window art. I did painting with them, and they loved it. Like a lot of them loved it. A lot of them kept them at peace, and it always inspired me to do more and more art every day. And like it was a way for me to kind of connect my creative side and help others on an emotional level. So it was really nice. And I always, and like I even have a few of my clients that I have that I also want to create my stories including in them, and because a lot of them have inspired me. And just realizing what it is for myself and my emotional journey and how to handle it.
Yeah, I love it. It all comes full circle. So in essence, you're helping them and they're helping you. Okay, I love that. So, how do you incorporate your personal experiences from, like you said, you when you grew up, you really didn't have that emotional support. So, how do you incorporate those personal experiences into teaching the artistic practice that you're teaching your students?
A lot of the times, like for example, like with my son, like how I when I had him, he would teach me how I want to be, because I always wanted him to be able to grow up in a house where he didn't grow up in the same way that I did, where like I wouldn't receive that emotional support. So like I had him at 19, and I actually started a job a couple years after he was born, maybe like 2 years later, 3 years later. And I
Mhm.
incorporated a lot of my parenting skills with the clients that I worked with. I would always learn techniques like how to de-escalate a situation, how to calm them down,
Yeah.
how to distract them. Just by doing simple little things. Like even if it was just walking outside, it didn't even have to be art, but a lot of them just honestly wanted to just participate in something. Like That was the biggest thing. They just wanted to be helpful, and like they loved having that opportunity because it felt like that they could take control of their own life. And I feel like that's something a lot of the clients that I've had didn't feel like they had. They didn't feel like they had control of their emotional aspect or their physical aspect of things. But once they were given that opportunity, they were able to thrive and succeed. And it made them feel very empowering,
Yeah. I like that, Rose. And that, I mean, we can use that in every aspect of our own lives, right? I mean, yeah, honestly, let me give just a prime example. My kids, I have older sons as well. So when they got their first bank account, you know how we are, their guardian over it, right? But it's when we take the training wheels off, you have to now manage your own account. You have to now make sure that you're not, overspending what you don't have. And I believe that I agree with that. We all can take a lesson from that. As soon as we get ownership of something, we grab a hold of it, and we're not going to let our baby fail. Come on. Share with one of the most rewarding moments that you've experienced in your work.
Oh my goodness. One moment comes to mind. So I have this one student, and she was in high school. She's about 18,
Hmm.
and it was probably one of the worst days of her lives. And like, I, I had to really like be patient. Like a lot of people didn't have with her. Her previous assistants didn't really have patience with her. And I've always gotten told like you're always so patient with her. She needs that. She loves that. And I was feeling overwhelmed with her. And I feel like that's the big thing with me. Like I have strong empathy that whatever my client is feeling or my student is feeling, like I feel exactly what they're feeling. And
Yeah, I love that.
she she was stuck in the hallway in school, and she has problem walking from one place to another without doing a certain amount of steps. It was an OCD issue with her.
Mm.
So when I was transitioning with her, literally the whole school had to pause for her because it was that difficult for her to get out of school. And so like I am still patient with her at this point, and like, but I feel overwhelmed, and I know I was not showing it, but she could feel what I was feeling.
Yeah.
And she hugged me and said, "Don't worry, Rose, Miss Rose, everything will be okay. Everything will be okay." And I had I had never had one of my students tell me that,
To you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so like, because like I would always tell her those things, and I would always reassure her. And
Yeah.
so, like, for me, it felt like she actually understood what it was to de-escalate a situation, and it
Yeah.
really touched my heart, and it made me feel okay when she said that.
I love that. I love that. That's such a cute story. Thank you for sharing that. It just lets you know that doesn't matter the situation. Everyone feels. They feel. They have a heart. They feel what you are feeling, and they are able to comfort you in your time of need. Just got to be open to it. I love that. Okay, so pursuing your dreams. What advice would you give to others who feel like their circumstances are holding them back from pursuing their own dreams?
It's literally just not giving up. Like, that's the only thing. As
Okay.
long as you don't give up, it's a done deal. Like, I feel like there have been so many moments in my life where I easily could have been like, I'm not trying anymore. I give up. Like, whatever the case was, whether it was just like me in the shelters, whether it was just me like just pursuing my dreams, like I just I'm really adamant about not giving up. Like, I'm really adamant about it. And I feel like if the moment you give up is the moment you lose everything.
Come on, Rose. That's true. The moment you give up, the moment it's so funny. It's interesting too because I believe that so many of us are our goal in our mind, right? It's so far out of reach that we look at it and say, you know what, I'm not going to make it anyways. But I am such a firm believer of that. If you continue to keep going, you never know. God can take a situation and He can flip it around. So where you thought you were so far from the finish line, you are right at. the finish line when he flips everything around. Okay. All right. Sorry. I got excited. Let me calm down. How do you stay how do you stay motivated and focused on your goals so despite challenges that you face?
My family, my family, I feel like honestly, I would not have pursued my art more if it wasn't for my boyfriend. I was a single mom for at least 7 years, and when I met him, it was very life changing for me because my son had gained a father, and I had gained someone to give me that inspiration, and he's my best friend. He's always pushing me, encouraging me. He loves my artistic side. And it was something like I never really had before. Like someone to be like, yeah, I can believe in you. You can do it. To do anything you put your mind to. And I just love that he admired that about me because no one really ever saw me in that kind of light.
I love that, Rose. And hold on, can I just stop and talk about that real quick? How important it is to have people around us, surrounding us who believe in us. It doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what your ambitions are, you need to have people who are able to feed you, not you feeding everything that you have within you. You already have a baby, you have so many other things that you are carrying. How important, Rose, is it to have people around you who believe in you? How important is it? Talk to us about that.
It really is, because like I was pretty much on survival mode for the first 7 years when I had my son. Everything was like I have to do this because I won't have a house. I have to do this because I won't have a job. But there was nothing I really had felt the need to do something for myself because it was for me and like my dreams. I never really put myself first. I always put my son first,
Mhm.
and that was always the number one important thing. And my son, he's amazing. I love him so much. He's on vacation actually right now, and I miss him. And he
Yeah.
has taught me so much about myself. And when I'm down or when I'm feeling emotional, he supports me. And I see so much of myself in him that I never really looked at myself that way before I had him. you
Mm,
know and it's just
yeah.
amazing. And the support is just everything, everything.
I love that. I love that. Okay, that's really good. Can you talk to us about a time where you wanted to give up and what kept you going?
I don't know, I have had moments, but I can't really recall them. But there was a time where I did have limits on where I really couldn't try anymore per se. There was this one situation where I was living in this apartment, and this apartment was funded by the government. They had given me money to help me here and there. Um, and I asked them if they were going to keep helping me, give me assistance. And I talked to my social worker, and I looked into the qualifications, and it said I was qualified. And she said I wasn't. So I talked to her manager, and my caseworker's manager, and I asked her, and she said I should be qualified. But I wasn't receiving the assistance that I needed. So I tracked down everybody that could help me. I tracked down all the contacts I had in my
Yeah.
phone to make sure that it was inevitable. And I had 2 weeks until I had gotten kicked out of my apartment because of a mistake that they made. But I didn't know that they made a mistake at the time I had until I had gotten a call from my landlord saying, "Oh yeah, you're in the clear now. They already made up the money." And I was so confused,
Yeah.
I don't know what happens, but it was like a miracle, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was it was a time where I was kind of forced to give up that situation, but I always tried to make something work.
Yeah.
At that point, it's up to the universe.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I agree. Okay, so what message do you hope your story and your work, your art will send to women who are listening to this right now? They may be battling and going through what you've overcame. What do you hope that your story and your art can do in others or for others in their own journey?
I just think what's important to remember is not to give up, honestly. I feel like where like what I this is something I say in my house all the time. Where there's a will, there's a way. Like every single thing. Like whatever goes wrong, like I know if I try to fix it, at least I try, I know I can't fail. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's all there is to it. Like you just have to keep trying. And as long as you do it for yourself and your kids, like there's nothing that can really stop you. It's just a matter of the willingness to do it and not give up, and like that's just something quite simple and easy to say, yeah, but it's
But it's
it's
hard.
a it's true,
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It's hard. I mean, although it's easier said, but it's hard. Okay, so talk to us about some of your work. I see your work hanging up behind you. So, talk to us about some of the artwork that you do. Where can we find it? Where is it published at?
So, on my Instagram, so I have two Instagrams. One is just for my paintings, and one I just recently made for my comic book art. So it's on Rose Ragnarok Art, and that's where a lot of I do my paintings. And then my comic art is Zodiacs of Ragnarok. Um, so I do a lot of Marvel art, and like I love comics. I love comic art. Um, the thing is with those kind of artworks and just in general with the movies, they really inspire me a lot, and I feel like that there's so much resilience in the stories, like where people have overcome so many challenges, and that's something I really love, and so I do a lot of comic art, and like a lot of it just inspires me. I'm still like trying to figure out also some of my niches, but that's okay. It's just a practice from there.
I love it. And I love the fact that you have such a wide range of art that you are able to do. Now I write books, right? I write children's books, I write books. So do you outsource your work? Are you for hire? Can people like reach out to you and say, hey, I have this amazing book that I want you to illustrate?
I have done some logo designs, for people for their own businesses. Like some moms have reached out to me because I did have, I was in a group before for mom entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
And like there were some moms that asked for advice, like how do I create content? How do I, or where can I get a logo design? So I would kind of help them out here and there. But yeah, like I have done a few logos here and there, and it's really fun. Like anything with art, anything I can design, anything I can get creative with, I just absolutely love. Like it's nothing out of my norm.
Yeah. I love that, Rose. I love it. I'm like mesmerized. If you don't mind, just tell us. I want to know the thought behind the picture right there in the middle with the green background before I let you go. Talk to me about that. Yes.
Oh, that's my son. So actually me and my boyfriend collaborated on that one. Like he drew the outline of it, and I did a lot of the coloring work.
Hmm.
It's from My Hero Academia. So like we love that anime so much. So,
Hmm.
we decided to draw him as his favorite character, and it was really fun.
Oh,
Like I really love doing anime art or, stuff as well.
that's amazing. I'm gonna have to talk to you, Rose, because I have some stuff in store. I haven't I haven't written a children's book in a while, and I'm actually I have a few outlines, so I'm gonna have to get in touch with you. Okay, Rose, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your inspiring story and kind of walking us through talking to some of the young mothers that are out there. And I love the way that you found your own niche and you found your way to reach back and grab other moms, other women, and pull them up and say, hey, look, I did it. I know you can do it. That's what it's all about and being a witness. Now, before I let you go, I always give the floor back to my guests and I say, leave us with something inspiring. Leave us with something to take with us throughout the week. Rose, what would you have to say?
I would say just whatever dream or goals that you have in life, there's always a way to reach those goals. And I feel like as long as you have that support and of your loved ones, that your dreams are unstoppable. They really are. I feel like that's something that is very achievable, and I feel like as long as you have love, like, that's all you really need.
It. Oh, that's so good. Live and lead with love. Oh my God, it's been my word for the longest. Okay. Thank you so much, Rose. I will definitely put all of Rose's information in the description below. Reach out to her if you have a project. If you're working on a children's book, reach out to her. Look at her work right there. It's proof right there on the wall. So I want to thank you so much, Rose, for being our special guest on the Woman Witness podcast and the Woman Witness TV network. Thank you so much. If you guys like this episode and you know someone who can benefit from it, we ask that you share. We ask that you like, follow Rose on social media, follow us, like and subscribe. Until next time, perhaps you were chosen for such a time as this to write, to tell your story, your truth. Until then, goodbye.